Welcome back to Fasten Like Nails, the official podcast of Lamplighter Ministries. Arts for art's sake is a 19th century French movement that has saturated our culture today, separating art from its moral and teaching functions. In this special interview with David Sanborn, we discuss how the Christian artist should think about their work and what perspective the Bible has on this topic. Let's listen in.
Okay, David, excited about you teaching at the Guild this year, and when I first saw you acting, I was like, whoa, what in the world? Where did this guy come from? I remember you did the the David and Goliath scene in front of the church. That blew me away. I mean, you caught me off guard because I was thinking you were going to go into this real serious moment, and instead you got up in the chair and you started doing all of these expressions with your muscles and everything. I was cracking up. It was great. But let me just hear a little bit about your experience before we talk specifically about the Guild. What has prepared you, and why do you love acting? And if you were going to be teaching some of the students that are listening right now, what could they expect to get from you when they came?
Well, what's really interesting about my background is it's rather unique. My mother was a professional actress and singer. She started out in London's West End back in the 60s. And then she and my dad became missionaries. Our whole family went to Thailand. And so my experience with the arts was a way to communicate God, communicate His goodness, communicate His glory, communicate, everything that is a good creation has some reflection of the good Creator. And so when I got to college, and even at a Christian college, they were having this debate about art for art's sake. I was like,
whoa.
What?
Yes, I remember
You mean
this.
talking for talking's sake?
Uh-huh.
They're like, wow, I just express myself. And if the audience doesn't like it, that's their problem. I'm going to express myself the way I want to express myself. And I'm like, no, it's your problem.
Yeah.
It's your job as an artist to deliver something of excellence that has been honed to be a clear, pure-sounding communication, not necessarily slap people in the face. Matter of fact, the better the art is, the more subtle it is, and the more it gets under your skin rather than just going straight to your brain.
Right.
But the whole point of art is to communicate, but to communicate beyond just the brain, to communicate to the senses, to communicate deep within a person to their past experiences and their emotions and into their psyche. And when people would talk about art for art's sake and they say, no, David, I disagree. I think you just express yourself how you want to express yourself, and if they don't like it, that's their problem. I said, wait a minute. There's this guy, I'm just going to call him Bob. There's this guy, Bob, that I know that every time he comes over to talk to you, you get so annoyed because he just loves hearing the sound of his own voice. Ooh. And she said, oh, I know, it's so annoying. He just doesn't take a hint. He just starts opening his mouth. He doesn't think about what he's saying. He's just talking. And it's like trying to get a spare moment where he takes a breath to be able to get out of there, take my leave, so he'll just stop blabbering about nothingness, And I said, well, imagine if he did that and he charged people tickets to do that. I said, that's what arts for art's sake is.
Yeah, I think they do charge people for that.
Exactly, they do. It's like we're treating the audience as our therapists, when really we should be the therapists. As artists, it's our job to bring healing.
I was reading a book called Saving Leonardo, which everybody in the world needs to read this book. I'm telling you, it is a life changer. It is about philosophy, theology, and art mixed together. And I learned more about what a Christian worldview is supposed to be in this book than anything else other than the Bible.
Wow.
So remember that. I want you to read this too, David. It's a life changer. But in the book, she had a picture of Rothko's painting called "The Silence of God." Have you ever come across it?
Yeah.
It's in. I think it's in it's in Philadelphia, one of the museums. And people come from all over the world to sit in front of this pretty much stark gray, nothing painting. There's nothing on the canvas other than the stark gray color, okay? It looks to me more like a paint chip at Sherwin-Williams, okay? So, and that was his expression of art, his artistic expression, right?
Yeah.
And people from all over the world come and see this thing, and I'm thinking like, why? So I did some research, and guess what I found? After he finished this piece, he committed suicide.
Yeah.
Because that was his worldview. His worldview was of nothingness.
Yeah.
His view, because I think in art, all of our expressions in art, whether it be voice acting, sound design, visual arts, culinary, whatever it is in life, wood making, wood carving, whatever it is an expression of our relationship and our view of God.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. Because it's a reflection of the whole human experience and creation itself. Now, that painting, it portrayed a lie because he believed a lie.
Yes.
You won't find that. You won't find blank nothingness in any of creation. You look at something that looks blank and gray under a microscope, there's a universe inside of it. There's no such thing as nothingness in all the universe.
That's great.
Everything is filled with life and stuff happening and the hand of God at work.
That reminds me, I just thought of this for the first time. The most creative people I find are the people. Now, there's two kinds of creativeness here. Some people create because they're expressing themselves. They're filled with their own self-esteem. They're filled with their own esteem of self. Okay, so they do art because they enjoy it for themselves. They want to be known, but it's not an expression of who God is and their relationship with God. But then there's those people that they really get filled with God, His goodness, and they want to give back because God gave them everything. Now they want to give back to the world and to God. There's a partnership between man and God. There's an artist in New York City, I think he lives in New Jersey now, Makoto Fujimura. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No.
Amazing artist. He painted the four Gospels for Crossway. And I don't like modern art. He's more of a modern artist. And when I saw these random paintings, it's almost like someone threw, usually modern art looks like someone threw a bucket of paint on a canvas, but this is different. This was detailed. This was specific. The colors were in specific patterns, and when I saw it, I was like, whoa! It was the first time in my life. And so, who is this artist? Who is this? Come to find out, he's a lover of Jesus Christ. He passionate lover of Jesus Christ. And then I dug a little deeper, and I even contacted him and started doing the emailing and started reading more about his works. And come to find out, he was using pure gold and actually mixing pure gold with some of his paints. Wow. And I found out that one of the reasons he does this is because he feels that God held nothing back when God created. And so he doesn't want to hold anything back when he creates. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. You can tell when someone is creating their art as a way of trying to get something from the audience, or when they're just giving. They just want to give. They just delight in giving because they've discovered that is one of the greatest joys God has given us. We were made in the image of God. God is the greatest giver of all.
Oh,
so
good.
When we are giving,
That's good.
we are functioning the way we were created to work.
That's good. A professor of mine said, Mark, whatever you do in life, do it out of a cup that overflows rather than out of the cup itself.
Yeah.
When you prepare for something, prepare so much that the cup overflows. Yeah. And it's not like teaching at all. It's effortless.
Yeah.
That's where that saying comes, he's whistling while he works. I tell people I haven't worked in the last 35 years because work is what I love, and what I love is what I do. And that's really, that says a lot. It reminds me of Proverbs 22:29. Show me a man diligent in his work, and he'll stand before kings and not before mean men. Now, let me unpack that in Hebrew. The word diligent carries the idea of a two-edged sword, okay? Now, back then, it was very rare that someone would have a two-edged sword because you had to sharpen it yourself. That took a lot of work. So someone who did have a two-edged sword mean that they were willing to go far and beyond what was expected of them, okay? King David, and Ehud in the book of Judges had a two-edged sword. And then it carries the idea of flowing water. Water it's fluid, okay? And then it also carries the idea of getting up early in the morning. And so here is a person that is willing to work extra hard on things to really hone things out. Beethoven, it says that he would spend sometimes up to 65 times going over just one sentence, one stanza, before he would fine-tune it to where he wanted it.
I understand that.
Isn't that great?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and today people they want to get it done quickly, and then they finish their college career and then they want to be a consultant.
Sure.
You know, it's like, what are you going to? I literally, I had a young person that graduated college, and he came to me and he said, "If you have any consulting work, let me know because I would like to be a consultant for Lamplighter." And I laughed because I'm going like, "How are you going to consult anybody? You have no life experience, you know." And so, show me a man diligent in his work; he'll stand before kings and not before mean men. The word "mean" carries the idea of obscure, and a person who's reached a high level of excellence, he'll stand before kings. People will want what you have when you reach a high level of excellence, and they're willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
But if you don't reach a high level of excellence and you take shortcuts in life, then you're subject to mean men or obscure men. Otherwise, people will use you at their advantage to your disadvantage. They obscure your view of life so that you feel like you're subservient to other people all the times, and that becomes enslavement.
Yeah.
So really catching this idea of partnering with God in reaching the highest levels of excellence, it's freeing.
Oh, yeah, totally. And when you're not doing it for the applause, for the praise, then you're totally free.
Yeah, that's
because
good.
Otherwise you are always enslaved to what other people think about you, what they say about you, how loud they clap for you,
That's
how many
good.
people show up. When you're doing it for God, when you're doing it as an act of generosity,
Yep.
then you are going to work harder than anyone. You're going to give as much as you possibly have to give and
That's
work
great.
hard as you possibly can for excellence because it's a gift
That's
for the
great.
Lord.
Yeah, if you're not a men pleaser, you're a God pleaser. In 2 Peter chapter 1, it says that his divine power has given us everything that we need for life and godliness, according to a full, intimate knowledge of him who has called us to his own glory and excellence, by which he's also granted unto us great and magnificent promises. So God doesn't just say, "I want to partner with you." God doesn't say, "I want you to reach high levels of excellence," but God grants these not just promises.
Yeah.
You know, he could have just said, "I grant you promises," but they're great and magnificent promises. Isn't that the God who loves us?
Totally. And when he tells us what to focus on, he's not, again, just trying to get us to pass the test. It's because he wants us to have the best of the best. And so as artists, it's really important that we turn our hearts to drawing people into what's wonderful, which is why Paul said in Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, whatever is true, noble, right, pure, excellent, praiseworthy, think on these things, focus on these things.
That's good.
And so in any given story or work of art, there will be the shadows, there will be the darkness, but it leads to the light. And all the great painters of history, they had this way of having all of the dark parts of the painting draw your eye towards the light. And that's what we as artists are called to do.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, as we come to a close here, I just want to finish with 2 Peter 1. So great and magnificent promises are ours, by which he's also granted unto us great and magnificent promises, that through these promises. And so one of the things that's going to happen at the Guild this coming year is we are going to expose the promises of God that are accessible at a moment-by-moment basis by calling on the name of the Lord, because in his name there is power. His promises get unleashed, okay? Watch this. That through these promises we might become partners in his divine nature. Yeah. That's what I want to see happen at the Guild, David.
Yeah.
Are you ready to?
Oh, I'm game. I'm in.
Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's change this world for Jesus Christ.
Let's do it.
David Sanborn will be teaching at the 2018 Lamplighter Guild, an event where creative excellence meets your deepened understanding of God. Visit lamplighterguild.com for more details. Saving Leonardo, one of our favorite books, is available on lamplighter.net, where Nancy Piercy filters classic and modern art through a Christian lens. If you found this content inspiring, then please visit lamplighter.net/podcast to listen to other episodes of Fasten Like Nails on your Apple, Android, or computer devices. Until next time, God bless.